The spring sun rested gently over the city, melting away the last traces of winter. The park, with its wooden swings and brightly painted slides, was already alive with children's laughter, their voices carrying in the breeze like a melody Elena already both longed for and dreaded. She walked slowly along the path, her heels clicking softly until she deliberately stepped onto the grass, where the sound was muffled. Her 6-year-old daughter, Lila, walked beside her, clutching Elena's hand so tightly that her little knuckles had gone pale. Elena glanced down at her child. Lila's dark curls framed her delicate face, her large brown eyes searching the world with an almost solemn curiosity. She had never spoken, not one word. Doctors had given them explanations, advice, even prescriptions, but none of it ever broke through the silence that surrounded her daughter. Elena, a woman who had conquered hostile boardrooms and built her company from the ground up, could do nothing here. It was her greatest weakness, her deepest wound. She had cancelled 2 crucial meetings today, ignoring the flashing reminders on her phone. Today was not about mergers or profits. Today was about giving her daughter another chance to feel like any other child. The playground unfolded before them in bursts of color and sound, bright red slides gleaming in the sun, swings creaking with joy, and children darting across the sand like little fireflies set free. Elena guided Lila toward the swings, though she felt her daughter stiffen at the noise. Lila's small fingers clung tighter to Elena's blazer, as if the chaos might swallow her whole. Elena crouched down, brushing a curl from her daughter's cheek. "Just for a little while, amore," she whispered, but Lila only lowered her gaze and stayed close. That was when Elena's attention drifted. Her eyes caught a man standing near the swings, his presence oddly grounding amid the commotion. He was tall, dressed simply in a faded blue shirt with the sleeves rolled up, his dark hair unruly as though he hadn't bothered with a mirror. Yet there was something striking in the ease of his movements. He pushed a small boy on the swing, leaning close whenever the child called out, his laughter unguarded, warm. For a moment, Elena found herself staring. She was so used to polished men in expensive suits, their smiles calculated and hollow. But this man's smile, it wasn't for anyone watching. It was real, and it unsettled her in a way she couldn't name. Elena settled on a weathered wooden bench near the sandbox, her posture elegant yet tense, as though even here she couldn't shed the weight of her title. Beside her, Lila knelt in the sand, dragging a small stick across the surface to form delicate spirals and crooked stars. She didn't join the games of tag or climb the jungle gym, she was content in her quiet world, her silence pressing like an invisible glass wall between her and the laughter around her. Elena's heart ached as she watched. She wanted to scoop Lila into her arms and shield her from the looks, the fleeting glances from other parents who sometimes whispered when they thought she wasn't listening. The CEO with the mute child. A cruel label that had followed her since the first article mentioning her private life had surfaced. Her thoughts were interrupted when a cheerful voice broke through. A little boy, no older than 6, skipped over from the swings and plopped into the sand beside Lila. He carried a bright green plastic dinosaur clutched in his hand. "Hi, I'm Noah," he said, his voice full of sunshine. He held out the toy as if offering her a piece of his world. Elena's instinct was to step in, to protect Lila from the pressure of having to respond. But before she could speak, Noah's father appeared. He crouched down at their level, his large frame folding easily, his presence steady and calm. He gave Lila a gentle smile, his voice low and patient. "That's a T-Rex, the loudest dinosaur of them all," he explained, his tone not forced, not pitying, just kind. Then he looked at her directly. "Do you like dinosaurs?" Elena held her breath. She knew this moment, the familiar silence that followed whenever strangers spoke to Lila. Her daughter would normally glance away, retreat further into herself, leaving a gap words couldn't cross. Elena's lips parted, ready to gently excuse her, to explain as she had so many times before. But then, something unexpected happened. Lila's small fingers tightened around the stick she held, and for a second her eyes lifted to meet Noah's. Then they shifted toward his father, curious and hesitant. Her lips moved, trembling, as though each sound carried the weight of an entire world. "Yes." The single syllable was faint, like a whisper carried by the wind, but it was a word. A real word. Elena's entire body froze. The noise of the playground seemed to fade, the squeals of children, the creak of swings, the hum of city life, all dissolving into silence around her. She had waited 6 years, endured sleepless nights, endless appointments, and countless moments of despair. And here, on an ordinary afternoon in a park, her daughter had just spoken her first word, to a stranger. Noah's father didn't gasp or overreact. His smile simply deepened, warm and easy. He placed the toy dinosaur in Lila's small hands. "Then he's yours," he said softly, as though speaking to her had always been the most natural thing. Tears stung Elena's eyes. She pressed a trembling hand to her mouth, terrified that even breathing too loudly might shatter the fragile miracle unfolding before her. The dinosaur felt heavy in Lila's hands, not because of its weight but because of what it meant. She turned it over carefully, her little fingers tracing its ridged back. Then, in a voice that wavered but carried more strength than before, she whispered, "Dino." Noah giggled, delighted, clapping his hands. "See, she likes him," he shouted, as though announcing it proudly to the whole playground. Lila glanced at him shyly, and for the first time, a tiny smile pulled at her lips. It wasn't forced, it wasn't fleeting, it was real. Elena sat stunned, her heart beating painfully fast. Her daughter's smile, her daughter's voice, it was everything she had prayed for, everything she thought she might never see. She wanted to cry, to laugh, to scoop Lila into her arms and never let go. But she stayed frozen, watching in awe as her little girl built bridges of words she once thought impossible. Beside them, Noah's father shifted slightly, his gaze moving from the children to Elena. He didn't speak right away, he just watched, calm, respectful, letting her soak in the moment. Finally, he said gently, "Sometimes they just need the right reason to speak." His words struck something deep inside her. Elena swallowed hard, her throat tight, her vision blurring. The right reason, and I wasn't enough. Elena blinked rapidly, fighting the tears that threatened to spill. She was Elena Moretti, the woman whose name commanded respect in boardrooms, whose presence made men twice her age stumble over their words. But here, in this sunlit park, she was just a mother, fragile, unprepared, undone by a single word from her daughter's lips. Lila and Noah sat side by side in the sand now, their heads bent together as though they had been friends forever. Lila's soft voice whispered, "Dino," again, followed by a faint laugh, and Noah responded with a roar so exaggerated it made her giggle. Elena pressed her hand over her heart, trying to steady the ache swelling inside her chest. She lifted her gaze slowly to Noah's father. He was standing now, brushing grains of sand from his jeans. His presence was solid yet unassuming, his expression calm but not detached. He caught her watching and offered a small, reassuring smile that disarmed her completely. "Thank you," Elena managed, her voice low, raw with emotion. He shook his head lightly. "No need to thank me. She just needed someone to listen." His eyes held hers for a long moment, steady and kind. For the first time in years, Elena felt something stir within her, a fragile hope, a spark of connection she hadn't expected, and perhaps desperately needed.